Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Today is Tuesday, which means we have the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish starting in just a moment. Before we do that, wait, I'm getting a message from Coach. What does it say? Oh, okay. That's from Natalie. Okay, so we have a great show planned for you today. This is where we answer your questions and post your comments. Anything you want to say, we'll put it up there. Nothing is off topic. We want to talk about training, nutrition, supplementation, drugs, all that sort of stuff. But again, nothing is off topic. If you post a comment or a question, we'll work it into the show. I promise you. And we have to thank our title sponsor, which is Legendary Foods. By now, you know that the tasty pastry is possibly the single best healthy snack you will ever try. And I validate that comment by saying your kids will love it. Your kids don't like your protein bars. You may try to get them to eat them, but they don't want to. But you'll have to fight them for the tasty pastries, I promise you. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Check out all the fantastic flavors. If you decide to buy, SHR10 will get you 10% off while you're there. Please take a look around. They also have amazing nut butters, no sugar. They have seasoned almonds, the freshest almonds you'll ever taste. Check them out. Tell them Carl sent you. And without further delay, let's get Coach on here and run his theme music.
Calling all BluePrint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing okay. Well, the temperature eludes me, but suffice it to say, it's colder than I would like it to be.
Yeah, here too.
Yeah.
You know what? I just realized, and we need to mention it. Actually, Natalie's actually going to re-air. I'm going to be gone for 3 days. I'm going to Florida, possibly to be a character witness in Aaron Singerman's federal case.
Wow.
So I'll be gone for 3 days. I'm leaving tomorrow, in court Thursday, and come home Friday. With that being said, we're going to rerun a couple of old shows, and fittingly, we're going to rerun a show when Aaron did of Fathers and Sons, but also we just lost Bud Jeffries. And I don't know if any of you remember Bud. Bud was on my show many years ago. He's a strong man, and he took his strength on the road and spoke at high schools about bullying. And he made an amazing contribution to stop bullying in high schools. And he traveled all over the country. And we talked about this. Bud is best known for doing some crazy feats of strength. A bottom-up squat with like 1,500 pounds on it. He would get under the bar, the yoke. He would tie stones to his chest. This guy was amazing. He was a very big guy. Probably carried a little bit more body fat than he needed to, but that was Bud. He did get COVID recently, and he bounced back so quickly. In fact, I saw him squatting in his backyard, like just, I don't know, days or even a week after getting COVID. He was feeling better. He was showing the world that COVID isn't a death sentence, but maybe he took it too far too soon. I don't know. But he did die last week. Or was it earlier this week? I don't know. My days all blend together. But he did die, sadly. And, he lost his son, Noah, a couple years ago. So this is very tragic for his family. And
I just read he died training.
Yeah, he was always training. That's all he did. The guy was out there. He was amazing. He would do some sort of heavy lift and then take a pistol and shoot a quarter in the air. Or he would take a bow and arrow and he would do like I don't know, take a stone and run 100 yards with it, then drop it, grab the bow and arrow and hit a bullseye.
Wow.
He was amazing. He did the craziest stuff, but he's best known for traveling around the country, telling children to be nice to each other, and he used his strength as a platform to get that word out there. So, with that being said, we will re-air the Bud Jeffrey show this week, and I hope everybody tunes in for it because Bud was an amazing human being, and his family has been, given too much pain in the past few years. First his son Noah, and then now Bud. Very, very sad.
Yeah, it really says a lot that he took his accomplishments and tried to use them to touch younger kids.
Tommy D is watching. Tommy D is a friend of mine from when I was a young boy. Tommy D Martino. He says, "Ayo, hey Tommy, how you doing, brother?" So, what's going on with you? How's your training?
Training is going well. I do have I've never had this before. My left glute and hamstring they've tightened up to an incredible degree where I have a very, very small range of motion. So I need to get in there and do some mobility work and reverse engineer this. It's not a shooting pain like, I initially was concerned, oh, that's probably a disc, but I don't think so. I mean, the muscles themselves are just tightened up.
So when back muscles tighten up, they're usually protecting. So something's going on in your back where your muscles are trying to splint the area. Just keep that in mind when it's back pain.
It did occur, shortly after a left lower back injury healed. So perhaps not 100% healed. I got
well, but it's okay. So when you injure yourself, it leaves a watermark the rest of your life. And that's why it's good to get with a good somebody who really, really understands physical therapy. Because when you injure yourself, your body splints that area. It could be your ankle. But even after it heals, you forever change the way you walk. And so you probably need to go see a really talented physical therapist. Say, I hurt my back, and now I've got this tightness. They're going to say, oh, yeah. And they'll take you through the paces. They'll stretch everything out, and they'll force you to walk and do things normally again.
Well, that's the direction I'm moving. So it's good to hear we concur on that anyway.
Let's see. We have so Robert David has a question. We will work it in to the show here, I promise. It'd probably be around the second question that we read. Oops, sorry about that. We have to start out with these that came in from listeners. Joey Barnes says, my question has to do with ginseng. Does it do anything or is it complete scam?
Well, interesting, right? Because we discussed this maybe 3-4 months ago. And ginseng is one of those well-known herbs. It might be the best known adaptogen, but it has a lousy reputation. And that reputation is and isn't deserved. So let me explain that. I first tried what I call gas station ginseng when I was in my teens. And then again, I think in my mid-20s, it did absolutely nothing. So I more or less, wrote it off, forgot about it. And that's unfortunately where a lot of people's experience with ginseng ends. Not long after that, though, there was a unique liquid herbal. It was put out by ASN, Advanced Sports Nutrition. I don't think they're in business anymore. They were out of the Pacific Northwest. But it was, I think the name of it was Sumba Forte, something or other. And what it was a blend of 6 different ginsengs. And man, did I feel that. I remember taking that, maybe 10 minutes after taking it, I got into the shower and my heart felt like it was beating out of my chest. So
Really?
yeah. And so I did a little more homework, and subsequently I got a hold of what I consider the one ginseng that I think is worth spending the money on. And that is sometimes referred to as aged Korean red ginseng. So specifically, the material I'm thinking about is aged over a period of 6 years. It's actually dried and
Wow. That's
Yeah,
a long time.
yeah, and it's consequently it has been found to be very rich in RG1 and RG3 ginsenosides. We didn't know about those way back when. I think the only thing we knew about was you know one ginsenoside. It turns out there are many, at least half a dozen. And in my opinion, it can be considered an excellent adaptogen, but for most will excel the Korean Red, aged Korean Red, as a pre-workout, either as a standalone or part of a multi-ingredient formula. You can feel it, if you get the right stuff and you take enough of it, it has a very distinct stimulant type effect. Although interestingly enough, it's not as in high dose caffeine, certainly ephedrine caffeine. It's not like that. It kind of occupies this middle ground, which is nice to have, frankly, especially right like we discussed last week when you're trying to kick caffeine. So, I've had some folks call me after trying it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you were right. My heart was really beating fast." So I would tell you, if you're going to go that route, be cautious with it. Most people don't spring for the good stuff because it is expensive, and it can be quite expensive. The latest ginseng product to hit the sports nutrition market, we talked about it some time ago. Unfortunately, it was a real flop. Um, but to be fair, I don't think it was at all because it was low quality. The problem, I think, was the hype, the marketing department, and its intended purpose and inevitable comparison to anabolics. The product's name is Androgen. I think it's still being manufactured, but it was put out over a year now by the company. Clever name, stacked with virtually every ginsenoside that has shown promise in studies. And there are plenty of studies showing just that. But ultimately, the product failed miserably because it was marketed as an anabolic, and you know how the rest of that story goes, especially in this business. Tough to watch, kind of, because the word I got from some people on the inside of the business was that this guy did an incredible job researching and procuring the various ginsenosides, having them sourced, and ultimately put out a fantastic finished product, which was 400 milligrams of 7 different ginsenosides in a cyclodextrin base plus extras. And I'm told he actually paid to have one of those ginsenosides custom made, which is not cheap.
Synthesized, yeah.
But it got out there. People, obviously did not produce anabolic effects. The best feedback and the most consistent I saw, though, was that, hey, I've never slept so well in my life, right? Which is important. Clearly, it's a roadblock for most people, or for a lot anyway. But at $100 a month, for an effective dose, it was expensive sleep. And today you don't hear much about it, even on their home board. So it kind of, ran its course. But what I'm telling you is this: here's the bottom line. I think when you hear the word ginseng, if you want to try a good one, look for that aged Korean Red. Look for the 6-year time period. You're going to find the 6-year material just by Googling those terms, and try it as a pre-workout. I would tell you that using it on off days, meaning the days you aren't using caffeine, when you're saving caffeine for that real punch, is ideal. There's also some good American ginsengs, in my opinion, on the market.
They come
Um,
they come from Appalachia. They come from
your
between
neck of the
Kentucky and
woods, right?
Virginia. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, all is not lost with ginseng. It will not be cheap. Good ginseng rarely is, but you will feel it, and you can determine from there whether or not it's worth your time and
And
money.
remember, it's an adaptogen. Most people don't feel adaptogens unless you take them consistently for weeks at a time.
Right. And in that
Adaptogens are not drugs. They are modulators, bioregulators, if you will. And they take a while to accumulate. They take a while for the effects to come on. And you can't expect to feel it. Oh, I don't feel anything. Well, take it for a few weeks and see if you feel better.
Yeah. Well, think about this final word. You talk about being able to feel adaptogens. You can't, at least not many, but the two that you can that come to my mind real quick: Korean red ginseng, rhodiola.
Yeah.
You hear that from people all the
Yeah.
time.
If you
So
have real rhodiola, you feel it. There's no
right,
doubt about it.
right.
You don't.
So
Let's go to a live question. So this one comes from Robert David. He said, I have a question about TRT. I've been on it for the past 3 to 4 years. My specialist discharged me. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. To my family doc, who was never for TRT. I was, and he said, okay, it's not whiny. He was wondering, thank you. I had to go. He posted something else. I'm wondering if one has been on TRT for the past 3 years. Will going off take me back to previous levels, or will it be worse? It depends on what your previous levels were. If you were in your, 40s, late 40s when you went on, then chances are it's going to take you worse. If you're younger, you may be able to bounce back with some sort of post-cycle therapy, which we'll talk about here. Not planning to get off, but just in case my doc wants to get a baseline again. Thanks. Always look forward to your show. We'll tune in tonight. I don't understand why doctors need to see a baseline. Well, if
I
a
don't
guy's
think.
on, go ahead.
I was going to say, I would not. I would tell you not to do it, not come off, because presumably the way you qualified for TRT was you had low levels,
Right.
and now that you've been on for years,
They're going to be lower.
they're going to be lower. So, as the doctor told me once when I was thinking about coming off and using HCG for a while, I said, "Well, I going to have my own natural production," and he said, "Yeah, you're going to have your own crappy natural production, which is the reason why you came to me."
See,
And
and
he made,
this is why these doctors make I get emails from people. I got an email from somebody's wife, who said the doctor wanted him to come off for a couple months to see if his testosterone levels are still low. This is the original prescribing doctor.
oh,
It's like,
jeez.
I'm going to drop an F-bomb. Are you fucking stupid? You're a doctor. The guy's been on testosterone for 3 years now. Like, do you expect him to bounce back? And if he is going to bounce back, you prescribed testosterone for him because he was hypogonadal. He's just going to bounce back to me. And I don't understand why doctors do this. They say they do it because they want to stay clear of the DEA. Come on, don't be stupid. You tell the DEA the guy was prescribed testosterone 4 years ago. He had horrible testosterone. Learn something about the fucking endocrine system, DEA. His testosterone is going to be worse if we take him off. And why make him sick? Since when? I mean, here, I got an idea. How, Joe, you really badly diabetic when you came to us. Your blood sugar was 400. We put you on metformin and insulin. We're going to take you off metformin and insulin for a couple months just to see if your blood sugar is really shitty like it used to be. Like nobody's doing that to nobody's doing that to diabetics. Nobody's doing that to Joe. Oh, Joe, your blood pressure was horrible. We got you on 6 different meds to control your blood pressure. We're going to take you off for a couple months. You may stroke, but we have to make sure that you still have shitty blood pressure. They don't do this with anything else in medicine but testosterone.
Yeah, and, in my mind, especially with testosterone coming off, too much goes wrong or goes south at once. And so by that I mean you're going to feel your mood's going to be lousy. You're going to have no energy. You think about this, your immune function's going to take a hit, right?
Your brain, so testosterone and its contribution to estrogen production protects you from getting Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, a whole. So for 2 or 3 months while your doctor figures out that your testosterone levels aren't high, they're not going to imagine, he came back to 1100. How do you like that? That's amazing.
He'd be
That's
the
never
first guy
happened.
in the history that
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
happened.
Well, so he's going to put you at risk of getting all sorts of neurological disorders. And plus, remember something. When you get older, it's easier to maintain shit than to bring it back. So those 2 months that you're not on testosterone, stuff's going to go wrong in your body, and you're not going to get back on testosterone and reverse it.
Yeah, that's a good point. With age, it's almost like getting injured, right? It takes forever to get back to where you were. So why get injured in the first place? Why come off?
So Carrie Kruger in Pretoria, South Africa, now works with Superhuman Radio.
Oh, that's awesome news.
Yeah, she's doing so Kirkland Warletti became
Yeah.
too busy with his job as a school teacher, and he could no longer do the show notes.
Yeah.
And Carrie's doing them now. She's working with Natalie, and she's going to be handling all of our show notes moving forward. So how do you like that?
That's so cool.
Very cool.
That's great, man.
She said, just checking in to the two best guys in the business. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's get this one too real quick. Sean W. I think that's Sean Wasson. I could be wrong. Watching on YouTube, says, I feel bad for Bud's family. I just lost my wife on the 10th. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Wow, I'm sorry
Good to watch the show and have a little normalcy. Yeah, you know what I say to people when they lose people that they are so enmeshed and close to? Close your eyes. You'll hear her voice and you'll see her face. So look, she's still with you. Literally, she's still with you. If you don't believe me, close your eyes. You'll see her face and you'll hear her voice.
Yeah, they're still in our hearts and minds.
Yeah, they're still with us. They talk to us. I talk to my father all the time. He still gives me advice. Maybe it's my advice to me in his voice, but I still talk to him. I still talk to all the people that are gone, and I got a lot.
Talk to my pets.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is Sean Wasson. Great guy. Long time fan of the show. Thanks for being here, Sean. So sorry. Very, very sorry.
Sorry to hear that, Sean.
Let's go back to one of the preloaded questions. Sorry. The next one comes from John Andrews. He says, wouldn't taking a scoop of whey an hour prior to training be better than EAAs during training? I already use whey, so why should I spend extra on EAAs when they're already part of my whey protein? Wait, I'm sorry. There's a set. Or is it just overkill to take both? Okay, there you go. Sorry about that.
A very interesting question that I don't think has been asked. And I've given this a lot of thought, but most of the statements that he's making are factually correct, right? Including the fact that essential aminos are a component of any complete protein or so-called intact protein. It's also true that the intact proteins are broken down right into the constituent amino acids, among those the essentials. But not everything there is so cut and dry. And so these different proteins, when they're deconstructed into the constituent aminos, they do so at different speeds, right? So on the one end of the spectrum, you got red meat, and it takes a while for the aminos to show up, but they also last, right, a long time. Whereas on the other end of the intact protein scale, you have whey, and which, depending upon the product, the research shows 60 to 90 minutes, and at that point, all the aminos are gone. So, while that necessarily isn't always a bad thing, there's even more to the story. So back to whey for a minute. Some whey proteins, actually more than a few on the market today, claim to have a portion being hydrolyzed protein in the form of di and tripeptides. Now, I very specifically use the word claim because hydrolyzed peptides are usually very, very bitter. If they're included in any meaningful amount, you're going to taste the bitterness. And let's face it, most commercial products that taste bitter don't go over well with consumers. So what I'm saying is, a lot of proteins that claim they're hydrolyzed, either they aren't or they contain so little the practical effect is effectively zero. Hydrolyzed whey is also very expensive. And with the price of whey already skyrocketing and shipping on top of that, that's just one more barrier to overcome, right? When a company's trying to sell whey protein, bitter is bad for sales, real bad. At issue is also the type of whey, because on the one hand, you've got whey concentrates that are generally higher in fat, and because of that, they're richer in these immunoglobulins and so on and so forth, and they break down slower than, let's say, whey protein isolate, right? So although it's true whey is still a fast protein, and generally aminos are in the blood somewhere between, I don't know, 30 and 90 minutes post consumption, it's always going to be a guessing game. Whereas with essential aminos, you know they're reaching the muscle within just a few minutes of downing them. We also know, and this is the other big difference when you look at an intact whey protein and essential aminos. There are studies showing essential aminos boost protein synthesis between 4 and 600%, depends on when you take them. You take them before the workout, the research shows 600%, after 400%. Either way, right? It's a good whack. Um, you can't find that on in a quote unquote normal intact protein, or at least I have not seen it, nor have I seen people reliably been able to time things the way that was initially proposed, which isn't a bad idea, right? Because hey, if you could do that with your whey, you wouldn't need to buy EAAs. But here's the other thing, those essential aminos have a lot more punch gram for gram than an intact protein, right? 6 grams of protein, 4 to 600 or 6 grams of essential aminos before or after the workout, 600 or 400% increase. You're going to need quite a bit more intact whey protein, 20, 30, 40 grams or more. I don't know what the actual figure is, but it's more. And the final edge that I would tell you essential aminos have is that you can tinker with the individual ratios, something that you just can't do with most commercial whey proteins. Now, as simple and interesting an exercise as that is, most people can't be bothered for whatever reason, right? Despite the fact that researchers' comments on this issue clearly cite the fact that it's one of the most practical, powerful, worthwhile, safe, and affordable supplement experiments you're ever going to conduct. Now you add the other merits. Well, let's go to the whey protein for a second, which has its own right merits independent of just the EAAs. A well-made whey, like Thrive, for example, brings a lot.
No, Thrive is
Right?
gone.
Oh,
Thrive is
Thrive's
gone.
gone. Right? I haven't heard. Well, see, it's
I'll tell that.
unfortunate.
I'll tell that story after this. Go ahead.
Okay, but a good whey concentrate is actually my preference, and I'll take a scoop of that. Um, God, I only have half a bottle of Thrive left.
It's gone. Well,
Um,
so here's so finish your thoughts, and then I'll tell you what happened with Thrive. It's very fascinating.
Bottom line, stick with the AAs pre, during, or post workout, and have a scoop of whey within 30 minutes. High quality whey concentrate.
So I didn't even know this. Just to give you an idea, I get an email and then I get a Facebook message, 2 different people saying that they got messages from Dr. Jeff saying that Thrive was no longer available, but he was now marketing Thrive under his brand.
Really?
Yeah. And so I emailed him. It was over the holiday. And I went to his website. He has a new website. I'm not going to plug it. He has a new website. I went to his website and he's on a video with the big crucifix hanging from his neck, because he's a decent, honest guy, telling people that he formulated this new whey protein. It's called like IGF 33 or something like that. Some, bullshit name. Just pick a name. It doesn't really have to mean anything. And why he put colostrum in it and why he put this in it and why he put that in it. I'm listening to it and I email him. I go, you're telling people you formulated this. It's my formulation. So he sent me an email back saying I lost a lot of money on Thrive and that was it. Oh, and Happy New Year. Because he did fund the Thrive production. I was working with him. He put the money up to produce it. We split the profits.
So this just came out of the blue?
Yeah. So there's no more Thrive. They've destroyed all the barrels of the bottles that were left because they claimed that they were expired. And then he has his own product, which is exactly Thrive. Obviously, it's cheaper because I don't have to pay his profit on top and then price it. He's pricing it without me in the middle, so to speak.
Wow, that's
And he's
disappointing.
got the crucifix there, and he's this honest, decent guy. And hey, he's Dr. Jeff. The reason I formulated this, the reason I put colostrum in it, the reason I did this, the reason I did that, and I'm thinking to myself, this is all bullshit. He's not telling the truth. You know what? He could have said, this is exactly the formulation that Carl Lenore came up with Thrive. We don't have Thrive anymore, but this is the replacement. That would have been an honest thing to say.
Wow, that's disappointing.
I don't care. I mean, between you and I didn't make any money on Thrive. I didn't make it. I made pennies on Thrive.
And the worst part is people don't believe that. When you tell them you barely make profit on Synthogen or Thrive or whatnot, I almost want to say go into business and try it yourself. You'll see.
Aaron Singerman told me, Carl, don't launch a protein powder. He says, you never make any money in protein powders. And he told me back then, but I was so headstrong. Oh, no, mine is different. People are going to pay for it because it's scientifically, to take all the advantages that we have in breast milk and put it into a supplement. But it's still there. Those of you who want to buy it, you can still buy it from All American EFX or whatever name they're selling it under. There's no more Thrive, but there's still a product out there if you want it. And it's made by Dr. Jeff Galini. Apparently, he formulated it himself.
Well, like I said, that's disappointing. I'm going to have to start shopping around then.
No, buy it. It's probably a good price. It's probably the same exact thing that we had in Thrive. I'm sure he just copied everything exactly and just put it in a bag. It's in a bag now instead of a tub.
Yeah.
And it's called IGF-33. I would love somebody to ask him, so what exactly is IGF-33? Maybe it's 33 ingredients. I don't know. I mean, it's another bullshit name. That's all.
I was wondering if something was going on because I had heard that Crealkaline was like you couldn't find it. Yeah, and I'm not talking about just on the shelves for consumers. I mean for companies that were using it.
Yeah. Well, he's got to milk as much as he can until once his patent runs out, people will be making Crealkaline a lot cheaper than he's selling it.
Maybe that's it.
I don't care. You know what? God bless him. If he needs the money that bad that he has to hand, like he could have emailed me and said, hey, we're about to destroy 100 jugs of Thrive. What do you want to do? I may have gone on the air and said to people, let's give it to them at cost. Let them buy it and keep it. He didn't communicate anything with me. It was my website that the orders were coming in through. His guy used to go in and move the money into their account. They used to give me my piece of it. Everything, and nobody reached out to me and said, hey, we're in trouble with Thrive. We can't make any more. We're going to take it in house. Then I would have said, okay, great. Let's do something. Let's talk about how I formulated it, but you're going to continue. Like there's so many ways to handle it.
Yeah. Well, once again, the perils of working, trying to make a quality supplement, right?
Yeah. And he can keep it. I don't care. I hope it's wildly successful for him. Yeah. Hope he makes a ton of money on it. All right. We got to take a break. Let's do this. Let's take one quick commercial break. We got lots of comments lining up here. We're going to get to everybody's comments and questions. Stay with us. We shall return. Have you been struggling to achieve results in the gym? Trouble sleeping through the night? Overwhelmed with stress or anxiety? Look no further than Infiniwell supplements. They have designed products to address specific needs like muscle growth, hormone balance, sleep, and anxiety from the first use. Infiniwell helps you live well. Go to shrnetwork.biz/bewell. That's BEWELL and use code SHR20 and start living well today. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today. I would easily say that I am the hugest proponent you will ever meet to doing anything that will improve improve the quality of my sleep. And that's because sleep is linked to just about every metabolic disorder we see in our population today. One of the easiest things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep is to get a pillow that can be shaped into the exact form factor that allows you to get your best night's sleep. And that is My Pillow. I've been sleeping with My Pillow for a few years now, and I can tell you that when I have to travel and stay in hotels, I don't get a good night's sleep because I don't have My Pillow with me. Right now, you can save up to 60% off of everything offered to improve the quality of your sleep at shrnetwork.biz/mypillow when you use the code SHR. Or you can call toll-free 800-889-4938. And remember to use code SHR to save up to 60% off of everything at their website. C60, also known as Buckminster fullerene, is the most powerful, most versatile antioxidant in the world. It's been shown in studies to double the lifespan of rodents. We all know the importance of taking antioxidants to slow aging, reduce inflammation, and improve mitochondrial function and energy production. But there are literally hundreds of antioxidants that would cost you thousands of dollars to take every day. I take one. I take C60 from C360 Health. Revive and Rejuvenate are two blends that harness the power of C60. Don't waste another minute. Go to shrnetwork.biz/revive and use the code SHR for 15% off and free shipping inside the United States today.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, all Visionary Pet recipes are very low-carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Spit that out right now. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. Let's go to the live side of things and see what's going on here. Richard Miller says he's training a client watching us on his TV, which he does all the time, and he posts it on Instagram, which I think is, I get a kick out of what he does. He's really good. HRV, what's your opinion of its measurement? Good, useful, useless? What's and if it's good, what's a good one for a 47-year-old male? You know what? I did that show years ago when HRV became a thing. Joel, I can't think of Joel's last name, but he's the guy who kind of started this whole paying attention to HRV.
Yeah.
I have some theories about heart rate variability. What do you think?
Well, when it comes to heart rate, first of all, I'll confess I don't know what the norms are. I couldn't tell you what they are. What I will tell you is I use heart rate to gauge two things. Number one, I'll use my waking resting heart rate to gauge whether or not I'm slipping into overtraining. So after establishing a baseline, as soon as your 8 beats or more per minute above baseline, it's time to take some time off. And the other thing I use it for is to determine my work capacity, my ability to recover from, let's say, interval training. And so at the conclusion of doing 4 or 5 different activities, let's say, hitting the heavy bag, sprinting with the sled, the resistance bike, and over, bringing your heart rate, the quicker you can recover, right, to a normal heart rate, obviously the better shape you're in.
Yes.
Those are the only 2 things I use it for. I think all this other stuff is just, it's too much. I mean, it's mumbo jumbo. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know, but that's what I use it for.
I don't know about scores, heart rate variability scores. None of the sleep tracking devices offer me a score.
Yeah.
However, you can really kind of so the whole idea behind heart rate variability came out of studies where people were more likely to have heart attacks if their heart rate didn't drop very low at night when they sleep. They're called non-dippers.
Right.
But instead, the whole day, because they're sedentary, they don't move, they don't exercise, they don't do anything. Maybe their heart rate is 90 beats a minute all day long, all the time. And then they go to sleep and it's just 90 beats a minute all night long. These people are prone for heart attack.
See,
And
that's interesting. You wouldn't think that, huh?
Well, because what happens is, here's a good analogy. My BMW has a problem with the transmission. Okay. Normally it shifts
Right.
up and down all day long. Every now and then, about once or twice a year, I do something and the transmission goes into the limp mode. Limp mode is it puts it in third gear and keeps it there. So you can't go very fast, and moving from a stop is arduous, and it really doesn't work. So the heart has to be capable of upshifting and downshifting to accommodate the workload, the blood flow, the oxygen flow of the body. And if you're pegged at 90 all the time in sleep and everything else, your heart is effed, because now all of a sudden, if you do something like strenuous, your heart doesn't want to go up to 180. It doesn't even remember how that even works out.
Oof.
So for me, the thing I look for is this. I look for my sleeping, and it's usually in your deepest sleep. My heart rate will go down into the high 40s, mid 50s. But then when I'm training, if I take my pulse, it's like, oh, it's up in 180.
Right.
That variation, very, very high and very, very low at night at sleep, is all I care about. And as far as trying to predict my readiness or predict my ability to train hard, we just learned something on yesterday's show. VO2 max isn't about, it's about the efficiency of muscles. And I'm going to actually find the scientist who did this study. Lisa's looking for it already. What we learned on yesterday's show when we talk about the ARX machine, by the way, everybody should go and check out the ARX machine, even if you don't plan on buying it, just to understand it. We're standing at the doorstep of some really great stuff in the way of resistance training, and it's going to come from these people from ARX.
It's about time too, right?
But we talked about a study where they did a VO2 max with 2 legs on a bicycle. And then they had people train just the one leg. And then they did the VO2 max again. And because of the way they did the study, they were able to determine that the VO2 max, when just using the left leg, so in other words, there was no cross education. When they just trained the left leg, VO2 max only went up when you used your left leg. When you put the right leg into the equation, your VO2 max dropped, because you're averaging between both legs. What they determined from this study is that resistance training, when taken to high levels, extreme, intense levels, actually improves VO2 max.
It doesn't surprise me. Makes total sense. Yeah, that's great information. And you know what? I mean, building strength training equipment using that kind of information is, like I said before, it's about time. We've been in the Stone Age, for a long time with weights. And just look at our cardio cousins, right? They've got average heart rate, speed, all these different diagnostics. And what do we have?
Resistance training may actually do more for VO2 max than you spending hours and hours running on your treadmill. That's the bottom. That's the takeaway, really, because the muscle becomes more efficient and demands more oxygen.
Most of the people that I put on high intensity interval training, if they're doing it 3 days a week, preferably 4, but if at least they're doing it 3, they don't need to do cardio. It's amazing.
Porter Cottrell, by the way, has said this for years, and no one agreed with him. Even I didn't agree with him. I said, no, you got to do cardio. Porter Cottrell has said it for years. All right, let's go to the next question. Rich Randolph says, you mentioned several times you've been taking antioxidants since your early 20s. I find that hard to believe and know of nobody that age dropping dollars on things like green tea. Plus, if my math is right, it was the early to mid 90s, and stuff that really worked was coming out. Creatine, Metrex, whey protein. I don't recall, any authorities recommending antioxidants at that time either. What gives? So he's basically saying bullshit.
Yeah, occasionally you'll get emails like this. So here's your answer. What gives is I am telling the truth. I started using antioxidants consistently in my early to mid 20s, and I never stopped. So let me tell you how that came about. Your comment about authorities not writing about it at the time really isn't correct, because the impetus for my antioxidant use was really twofold. First, Dr. Michael Colgan's book, Optimum Sports Nutrition, was published in 1993, and in it, he detailed several inexpensive nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and other compounds and he discussed in great detail how they combat the damaging effects of oxidation that occurs inside our bodies. More importantly, to my mind, he described for the first and I think only time, he described in plain English how and when oxidation starts. And the short version is this: it starts early, and if left unchecked, there are consequences. And here's the thing that got me: not just to your health, but to your performance as well. And being 20 something years old, I wasn't thinking health. I mean, that's a nice side benefit, I guess. But when I heard this might be damaging to my performance, that got my attention, right? 2 years later, I ordered and read Dr. DePasquale rather, his anabolic diet and natural supplement review. They were being sold as a package. I'll never forget coming home from work and seeing that package on my doorstep. Then his natural supplement review in particular was instrumental in reinforcing and expanding the knowledge that I gained by reading Dr. Colgan's book. So it's really not accurate to say authorities weren't writing about it. Those are some pretty big authorities, in my opinion, particularly Dr. DePasquale. In fact, you can look in his book, Natural Supplement Review, and you will find a sample antioxidant mix that I started using, including, the normal stuff: vitamin C and E, beta carotene, selenium, magnesium, zinc. From memory, those are the things, and more were in it. But that formed the base or the nucleus of my antioxidant stack, and I never stopped. As I got older, I've only added to it, right? And I never stopped reading either. I was a voracious reader of Dr. DePasquale's columns in Powerlifting USA, and he had another one in Muscle Mag International, where he expanded periodically on new antioxidants and their place on the training table. And now that I think about it, even my performance enhancing supplement choices back then played a role. Primarily ecdysterone, but also tribulus, ashwagandha, and the various ginsengs that I've discussed, because unbeknownst to me at the time, every one of those that I just mentioned contains active ingredients that have antioxidant properties. Don't take my word for it. Go read up on tribulus. There are scientific studies detailing every identified component, and they're still pulling them out of that plant, and ecdysterone, that are antioxidants, right? There were also two companies at the time that I followed that put out dedicated antioxidant products. And I know some of you guys might remember this. It's dating me, but around that time, AST Research had a product called Viosilate.
Mm-hmm.
It was a powder. And Syntrax Innovations, I think was their full name, they had a capped product that I loved. It was called Radox. And so here's what I learned. Used immediately after workouts, these antioxidants resulted in a lot faster recovery and a lot less DOMS.
And listen, Aubrey de Grey's theory on aging
Yeah.
is the mitochondrial theory of aging. He was on my show about 10 years ago, maybe, I think 10 or 11 years ago.
Yep.
And he believes that it's oxidative stress produced by the mitochondria that ages us. Now think about this. When you go in, and Aubrey doesn't believe in working out because his theory is you're just spitting off more oxidative stress. That's not good for you. So what's the answer? Antioxidants. When you train hard, when you run, when you work out, when you work around the backyard, you're spitting off oxidative stress because you're demanding more energy from your mitochondria, and they put out oxidative. They put out oxidative stress, and so antioxidants quench and convert that oxidative stress back to its normal form, which is docile, and it's not doing anything harmful to you. It's not aging you, so to speak. So it
Yeah.
makes perfect sense that antioxidants are good for us in one shape or another. And whenever we get the vegan argument, they always tell us about how all these vegetables have polyphenols and antioxidants. It's like, oh, well, that's what makes it good. Antioxidants? Yeah, really? Okay.
But here this will speak to, I think, antioxidants power, if you will. I just mentioned I found that I recovered much faster, had a lot less delayed onset muscle soreness in my early to mid 20s. You can imagine then, if the mitochondrial theory is correct, and I think it is, it's either the whole thing or a big part of it. You know how much more beneficial they are in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. So as the years went by, I simply expanded my reading, and as a result of that, my use of new antioxidants as they were identified. Things like alpha lipoic acid, EGCG from green tea, the various curcumoids and curcumin, and acetylcysteine, astaxanthin, and these other exotic carotenoids, etc., etc. But the most powerful one, and this is not toeing the line, it's just how it is. The most powerful antioxidant that I have discussed and used is quite likely C60, Buckminster fullerene.
And we have a sponsor that makes the single best C60. I'm sorry, I have to shamelessly plug right now. But if you go to shrnetwork.biz/revive, I take it every day now. It is 470 times stronger than any other antioxidant in the world. If you can only take one, this is it. Use the code SHR to get 15% off. They have two versions, Revive and Rejuvenate. Read about them, get them. I take them every day. And I got to be honest with you, I'm crushing it in the gym. It's not just this. It's not just that. I'm not saying, oh, that's the reason, but it's everything I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and C60 got a lot of attention from lifters when it sort of debuted on the market years ago, for the simple reason that they were reporting performance-enhancing things going on in the gym. Not like anabolics, but still, a good bump, a measurable bump. Back then, I could not identify a reliable domestic source. There was an international. But look, this stuff is so powerful. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I've used it, but it's so powerful. You don't even have to take it all the time. Like you can take a short course of it, and it's still active, right?
Yes.
Many weeks or months later.
Right. Yeah.
And it works in parts of the body where other antioxidants don't. So, too much to go into here outside the context.
Well, I want to mention one other thing.
Yep.
Graphene hydroxide is being blamed. You know what it is?
Vaccine. It's in the
vaccine. Graphene hydroxide is being blamed for a byproduct of the current vaccines that is causing people to get very ill. You know, the one antioxidant strong enough to quench graphene hydroxide?
C60.
C60. It's the only one.
Yeah.
It's the only one. So, like, if you've taken this vaccine, you need to start taking C60, really, along with the baby aspirin, because keep in mind that the inflammation that the vaccine causes is the same inflammation that getting COVID causes, and you keep yourself from clotting too fast with a baby aspirin. But graphene oxide. That's it. Graphene oxide. This is the one thing that quenches it. C60.
And so that's the bottom line on antioxidants. I'm telling you the truth. That's how I got into them. You can go back and look at the books if you want yourself. But thank God, I thank God every day that I came across that information and put it into practice. I never stopped, and I'm not going to until they put me in the ground.
And again, go to shrnetwork.biz/revive, read the literature on the website, read about the study with the rodents that literally lived twice their lifespan because they got this C60 in olive oil from the beginning of their lives. This stuff is amazing. Use the code SHR if you do buy it and save 15% on all the products there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have lots of questions from the audience. We'll work through those, and then we'll take another break, and we'll do the blueprint tip of the day. How's that sound, Rob?
Fantastic.
Okay, sit tight. We'll be right back with more. Sit tight. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High-quality, pasture-raised, great-tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/whiteoak and use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 10% off your entire first order. The holidays are over and it's time to set your eyes on new goals for the new year. In the thick of winter and sick season, it's more important than ever to support your immune system so that you are strong, healthy, and able to tackle your 2022 goals. Did you know that one of the biggest ways you can boost your immunity is by supporting your gut health? It's true. In fact, 70% of your immune system is in your gut. That's why it's time to get Biome Breakthrough. Biome Breakthrough has powerful probiotics, prebiotics, as well as a one-of-a-kind ingredient called IGY Max. IGY Max is a patented egg-based protein that enhances gut health, reverses damage caused by antibiotics, and even helps with immunity threats. By taking Biome Breakthrough daily, you'll eliminate bad bacteria, feed good bacteria, build up your immunity, and repair your gut lining all at the same time. Go to shrnetwork.biz/biome and use code SHR for 10% off and get a full year, no questions asked, satisfaction guarantee. If you've listened to this show for any length of time, you know that I have struggled to give up coffee for years. Coffee has destroyed my gut and it's impaired my health. Well, I haven't had coffee in months thanks to a product called Magic Mind. Magic Mind is the first nootropic blend I actually feel working. One shot and I'm good all day long. My memory is crystal clear and I'm able to function and have great focus without coffee or caffeine for that matter. If you want to try a product that really works, if you're like me and you want to give up coffee forever, or you just need something occasionally that will help you lift the brain fog, Magic Mind is your product. I promise you that this product you will feel when you use it. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Magic Mind, all one word, and use the code SHR for a whopping 20% off your first order. MK Supplements grass-fed beef liver is from 100% pasture-raised New Zealand cattle. Unlike other manufacturers, they use a gentle freeze-drying method to turn fresh liver into a powder before filling it into gelatin capsules. Additionally, they don't use hexane or any other harsh chemicals to defat their organ meat. From the glass container and metal lid they use to package their products to the recyclable shipping materials they use for delivery, their goal is to provide the highest quality, most eco-friendly supplements on the market. Go to shrnetwork.biz/liver and use code SUPERHUMAN to receive 15% off your order today. Verso contains potent compounds proven to increase NAD+. NAD+ is arguably the most important molecule in the body, and without it, you would die in less than 30 seconds. It's responsible for a number of physiological processes, one being that it guides longevity genes called sirtuins to direct cells in the body to perform their jobs. NAD+ levels drop with age, and when they're low, there isn't enough to guide sirtuins, so your cells start to break down. This explains why the body ages, and consequently wrinkles appear. There is less benefit to exercise, it takes longer to recover, and an older body is not resilient like a young body. Start reversing biological age now. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Verso and use the code SHR for 20% off plus free shipping on your bottle of Verso today. If you've listened to Superhuman Radio for any length of time, you know I'm a big proponent of peptides. One of my favorites is GHK-Cu, the blue copper peptide. It has the ability to repair and regenerate more youthful expression of skin cells, reversing the signs of aging. Restore a cell's stem cell Awakening Serum, along with their other products, contains potent formulations of blue copper peptides and only the highest quality organic ingredients. Superhuman Radio listeners can now save 25% site-wide. Go to shrnetwork.biz/blue and use the code SHR25. Remodel your skin today.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. Before we get to the questions and comments, I'm going to get to every one of them. Are you a believer in sauna?
Yes. The problem is I don't have one to avail myself to frequently enough, or even at all. Actually, I might. My wife just joined a new gym, and I think there's a sauna there.
So this is probably the answer that most of us in this audience would say. If someone said, "Hey, do you think sauna is good?" You'd probably say, "Yeah, it's really good. I hear really great things about it." Even from brilliant people. It's an exercise mimetic, detoxification, stimulates repair below the skin, blah 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 blah. But my gym doesn't have one. I don't have one. I don't know where there is one I could use with any regularity without breaking into my neighbor's house.
Right.
Well, I have negotiated a deal that has changed all of that. And I want people to really pay attention to this, because this isn't going to last for long. There's a company called Helix, Healix. They make a far infrared sauna blanket. It looks more like a sleeping bag. There's a picture of it on the screen right now for those of you who are watching the show. And you get in it, you zip it up, you turn it on, zero EMF. So for those out there going, yeah, but am I getting inside like a bubble of EMF, electromagnetic fields? No, zero EMF. It puts off zero EMF. But what it does do is it has thousands of far infrared LEDs in it, just like the far infrared LEDs that they use in the best saunas out there. And it goes up, it has a remote. You can adjust the temperature 120, 130, all the way up to 180 friggin' degrees. Now, I've not been able to get mine up to 180 because it feels perfect at 150 to me. But with that being said, it rolls up, fits in a closet. Right now, my audience can take advantage of a ridiculous offering that Michael Brown over at Helix has offered just to our audience. $474.99. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/helix, Healix, and use the code SHR, make your purchase before February 4th. Using that code, it will ship on February 21st. It's kind of like a pre-sale. They're just getting more inventory in. So you can have a sauna. I don't care if you live in a studio apartment. I don't care. We have a sauna in our home. It was $3,500, and plus it takes up a very large area in our basement. This is the anti-sauna. It's $474.99. You can roll it up and put it in your closet, take it out and use it. In fact, you can get on the couch and watch TV while you're in the sauna.
Hey, for everything that sauna does, that really is a bargain. And isn't there, I forget whose research, but massive growth hormone release.
Oh, there's so many benefits to sauna. Everyone would own a sauna if they could.
They do, yeah.
Well, guess what? Now you can.
Yeah.
Go to shrnetwork.biz/helix, Healix. Use the code SHR. Make your purchase by February 4th. You'll get it for $474.99, and it will ship to you on February 21st. Doesn't get any better than that. It really, really doesn't. There you go. Hold on. Let me just see. I have a comment here. And we're going to work through our comments now. Okay. John D says, you two are really the two best and originals in this business. Thank you for saying that.
Wow. Thank you.
Very,
That's
very,
a
very
great
kind
comment.
of you. Yeah, I love that. I mean, it keeps me going because
Yeah.
it's a lonely job when, what we do is lonely. I'm in this studio by myself all the time. So, it's nice. Thomas Whittingham says, hi, Carl and Rob. Parenthetically, happy belated birthday to you, Rob. I'm watching live for the first time in a while, and I'm trying to eat lunch, but your response about testosterone replacement therapy had me laughing my ass off. Great analogy. When I said, do they take you off your blood pressure meds and see if you stroke before they put you back on? Aiden Ray said, sorry to hear this. I'm sure it was when I was talking about the situation with Thrive and Dr. Jeff Galini. I got no hard feelings to the guy. I really like Jeff, actually. I like Jeff. He should have handled this differently. And he clearly should have never gone on record and says he formulated it, because that's complete bullshit. And anybody who knows that. Like, you got to be careful about what you say. The internet is an amazing thing. Word travels very quickly. Sean Wasson said Thrive was awesome. Holy shit, are you kidding me? About Dr. Jeff. No, I'm not. And I feel bad. He lost money on Thrive because he put the money up to make it. I formulated, he made it. We sold it. Well, I sold it. They never sold it through his channels, which would have been nice if he would have, right? But he probably figured, why would I do that? And why would I want to share money with somebody else? I did formulate it. And so he just needed to give me a call and give me a heads up. I wouldn't have said anything. I don't care now. I mean, good. I hope it becomes the most popular protein powder he sells, because all that does is validate my skills, my skills as a formulator. Okay, so Aiden Ray says, Carl, you may be wrong. IGF powder, IGF-33 is missing the fish oil. Everything else is mirrored. Brutal. Can't believe Dr. J did this. Your protein was the best I had used since the original Myoplex Deluxe, and yours beat that one hands down. Thank you for saying that.
You sure you didn't miss an email from him or something?
No, I emailed him. I got a message on Facebook from Ron. What's Ron's last name? Italian guy. I can't believe he's from Chicago. He said, "Did you know this?" I was like, "No, I didn't." Richard Miller has a question. He said, you guys are testosterone geniuses. Mine is currently 508 at 47 years old. Am I good, bad? At what number should I be concerned? I would be concerned at 508, to be honest.
Well, a couple of ways you can look at this. The medical orthodoxy will tell you you're normal. And in fact, you're low. You could be considered low normal.
380 is the new cutoff. Is it 380? Yeah, it's 280. 280 is the new cutoff for hypogonadism in men. Yeah. 15 years ago, when I started paying attention to the research, it was 420. So what's happening is we have a sick population that's artificially pulling testosterone levels down and making them the new normal, but they're not normal. Again, they don't do this with blood sugar. They don't say, oh, everybody's insulin resistant, so let's raise the normal blood sugar to 150.
Yeah. So, but he asked the question here: am I good, bad, or indifferent, or what? That is only a question I think that you can answer. And let me tell you why. Optimal testosterone levels are what we all want. The doctor is trained to get sick people to normal. They are not trained to get normal people to optimal, which many doctors will look at that as irresponsible. Why are we monkeying with levels trying to get, to 908 or 1,000 or 1,100? Well, it's your body. And most importantly, it comes down to three words: quality of life. You either have a good quality of life right now with a 508 testosterone level, or you don't. And most guys, if you go through the list of low test side effects, are going to be able to check at least one or two boxes. And that, I would submit to you, is compromising your quality of life. So it would be time, I think, for a discussion with a progressive doctor, and maybe not focus so much on that number 508, but the things in your life that might be missing or dragging right now.
Or go into the doctor and say, look, when I was young, my testosterone levels are high, right? Oh, yeah, for sure. Probably in the 8, 9, 10, 11, 1,200 range. Sure. Yeah. I want to feel young again. Oh, that's not good. That's impossible. Yeah. That's bullshit. I do. I want to feel younger. Keep in mind that I didn't know I was low on testosterone when I started testosterone therapy. And let me rephrase that. if you ask me about my symptoms and stuff like that, I didn't feel as good as I wanted to. I didn't feel as strong as I wanted to. I didn't sleep as well as I wanted to. But every time your wellness takes a little nick, that becomes your new normal.
Right.
When I got on testosterone, and I said this on the show when the show first started, when I got on testosterone, I felt like someone flipped the lights back on in my life. I was like, oh my God, like you don't have anything to compare it to right now, because the last time you felt great was in your 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And every year, one light bulb goes out. If you were in a warehouse that had 100 light bulbs, and every year of your life, just one light bulb went out, the year-to-year transition, you wouldn't even notice it, one light bulb. But then if somebody comes in when you're 45 years old and replaces all 45 light bulbs at the same time, you go, holy shit, is this how bright it used to be in here?
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a very insidious process that if you're not paying attention, or even if you are sometimes, you don't realize how far the quality of your life has slipped. So it gets back to the old question, how do you boil a frog? You just turn it up 1 degree at a time. And by the time he notices, it's too late. That's what's going on in your body.
And okay, and if you feel good and you have great energy, you still should consider something that may raise your normal testosterone right now. You can get a lot of things, HCG. There's lots of things that you can use that will help to just bring up your current testosterone. So if you get it up into the 700 or 800s, I think you're probably okay. You keep in mind that testosterone protects men against a variety of diseases that have nothing to do with your energy level.
Heart disease,
Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, neurological disorders, prostate cancer has been linked to low testosterone. I had Dr. Samuel Denmead on my show twice, and he is curing prostate cancer with testosterone. And doctors are still out there using ADT and crushing their patients' testosterone levels because they have prostate cancer. It's ridiculous. So testosterone is more than just having energy and a libido. It's so much more. It's protective, and I believe higher is better. That's me.
Yeah. It's probably best stated that there are things that are going on that you can't necessarily feel, and you don't want those things compromised, like what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our last commercial break. Please stay with us, and we have the BluePrint tip of the day when we come back. We'll be back in just 3 minutes. Exactly. I would easily say that I am the hugest proponent you will ever meet to doing anything that will improve the quality of my sleep. And that's because sleep is linked to just about every metabolic disorder we see in our population today. One of the easiest things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep is to get a pillow that can be shaped into the exact form factor that allows you to get your best night's sleep. And that is MyPillow. I've been sleeping with MyPillow for a few years now, and I can tell you that when I have to travel and stay in hotels, I don't get a good night's sleep because I don't have MyPillow with me. Right now, you can save up to 60% off of everything offered to improve the quality of your sleep at shrnetwork.biz/mypillow when you use the code SHR. Or you can call toll-free 800-889-4938. And remember to use code SHR to save up to 60% off of everything at their website. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High quality, pasture raised, great tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 10% off your entire first order. Have you been struggling to achieve results in the gym? Trouble sleeping through the night? Overwhelmed with stress or anxiety? Look no further than Infiniwell supplements. They have designed products to address specific needs like muscle growth, hormone balance, sleep, and anxiety from the first use. Infiniwell helps you live well. Go to shrnetwork.biz/bewell. That's BEWELL and use code SHR20 and start living well today.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, all Visionary Pet recipes are very low-carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
Verso contains potent compounds proven to increase NAD+. NAD+ is arguably the most important molecule in the body, and without it, you would die in less than 30 seconds. It's responsible for a number of physiological processes, one being that it guides longevity genes called sirtuins to direct cells in the body to perform their jobs. NAD+ levels drop with age, and when they're low, there isn't enough to guide sirtuins, so your cells start to break down. This explains why the body ages and consequently wrinkles appear. There is less benefit to exercise, it takes longer to recover, and an older body is not resilient like a young body. Start reversing biological age now. Go to shrnetwork.biz/verso and use the code SHR for 20% off plus free shipping on your bottle of Verso today.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Rob pointed out that I missed the question, so we're going to hit that first, and then we will go on to the Blueprint tip of the day. And I did see it. You're right. I saw it. Thomas Whittingham says, can you both speak to HMB, talk about it, the thing's coming around again? It is coming around again. This is what happened. People forget it didn't work the first time, and then they start selling it again. Am I right? Is it helpful for muscle mass in 60-plus-year-olds? Please and thank you.
Oh boy, HMB. But this makes the third time I think it's coming around.
Yeah.
So Dr. Stephen Nissen, Iowa State University, he's got the patent on it, and his name's all over the research showing that it works. When his name isn't on it, it usually doesn't, and that's for a reason. Look, the first time HMB came out, Bill Phillips told us that it was going to feel like DECA.
Everything feels like DECA.
It's going to feel like DECA. And needless to say, a lot of people, not me, fortunately, for once, a lot of people dropped a lot of money to find out otherwise. In fact, it didn't do much of anything. Now, many years later, I think 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago now, the story changed. Now it was free HMB. That's what was gonna do it. Free.
And who was the guy who did that study? He was on my show actually. Jacob. Why can't I think of his name? Jacob something. He has a lab not too far from where I live. Actually, that's far south from me. Yeah. And he did the free HMB study, and then everybody was interested again.
The free HMB study, by the way, I would encourage you to go look at that. The gains that were made in that study, or at least reported as being made, I don't think you could load up somebody on tests, Anadrol, and maybe a few other things, and they would have a hard time coming close to the amount of muscle that was built allegedly in this time frame with free HMB. So look, that eventually ran its course. I was asked many times, is it worthwhile? The answer is no, unless they have attached a dianabol molecule to it. HMB is not going to work this time either. It's a metabolite of leucine. You want HMB?
Take leucine.
You take leucine. If I'm not mistaken, your body also makes it, or at least a little of it, when you're in ketosis. And Dr. DePasquale observed that once. It doesn't do anything miraculous there either. Look, the only place I've seen HMB work is in these studies, and never in the real
Maybe
world.
you just need to eat the paper that the study is written on.
Yeah.
Then you'll get the results. Richard Miller says, thank you both for the information about testosterone. So
Yeah, absolutely.
all right. So the last thing that we have to do is the blueprint tip of the day.
Yep.
And what is the tip of the day, Rob?
The tip of the day is about the danger in assigning others responsibility for your health. And unfortunately, I've had a front seat to this with some family members, and it really drives me up the wall because there are consequences, and I'm going to get into them. So more broadly speaking, in America today, taking responsibility for anything is that doesn't happen anymore. And you can see that from the executive level in corporate America all the way down. In fact, it gets worse the higher up you go. You can see it you can see it in the workplace. You can see it in the general public. And you can certainly see it in our government leaders, right? There are few, if any, consequences for screwing things up. You can literally turn the TV on, see some government big shot that screwed something up again, usually, and they say something to this effect during the press conference: I take full responsibility, the buck stops with me. And yet nothing ever happens.
Right.
Nothing. Nobody gets fired.
Because of something called sovereign immunity.
Yeah.
And no. If someone asked me, what's the one thing that you would want to do politically that would have a lasting impact on every area of government, I would say do away with sovereign immunity. When a politician makes a mistake that costs lives, put him in jail. When a politician makes a promise, you're going to be able to keep your doctor with my healthcare package, and he lies, put him in jail. We don't punish when it comes to politics. It's like an alternate universe.
Right.
Nobody gets punished for anything that they do, whether it's malicious wrongdoing, whether it's purposeful wrongdoing, or oops, I just made a mistake wrongdoing. Nobody ever gets punished.
Right. Nobody gets fired. Nobody gets demoted. Nobody is punished in any way. And so you're absolutely right. For whatever reason in politics, it's all just theater. No, there are never consequences. But
I mean, look at what's going on right now with the vaccine. Like theoretically, so everybody's finally coming around to the fact that the vaccine doesn't work. The second shot didn't work. The third shot didn't work. The fourth shot didn't work. Israel says the fifth shot didn't work, and they're done with it now. And so, okay, Joe Biden, and he'll say, well, Fauci told me. Oh, okay. Hey, Fauci, I thought no masks. Once you got vaccinated, everybody would be protected. Blah, blah, blah. Didn't come true. So what do we do to Fauci? We take every fucking penny he's ever made away from him. We take every penny away from his family that may have benefited from his position. We fire him. We try him. We put him in jail. That's what would happen to you and me if we did that. We'd go to jail.
Yeah. Malpractice, right? If you're a doctor, you do that as a doctor, you're malpractice.
I can't take sovereign immunity. No, I'm just, you're not a politician. You're a citizen. You get held accountable for what you say.
Yeah. So disturbingly, this whole dynamic of, nobody's responsible for anything. Unfortunately, it started to creep into people's decision making when it comes to their health, which is to say they offload responsibility for their health to somebody else. And so part of this is generational, but you know the score. It's like way back when a doctor told you something, you did it. No questions asked. You know, I can see this in my father, in just about every baby boomer out there. Um, you know, they're good people. They're incredibly hard workers. They're resilient, and they usually carefully weigh the pros and cons of something before making a decision of that magnitude. For some reason, though, that all goes out the window when it comes to their own health care. It's as if somehow health resides not in themselves or what they do, but it's kind of this ethereal thing that's floating out there in the American sick care system. And notice I didn't say healthcare system. We don't have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system. Quite the difference, which is another matter which I'll get to later. Many of these people think that when they get sick, they need to go to a doctor. Like they get the sniffles, man, boom, they're going to the doctor. They're going to the hospital. Or they think they need a medication prescribed by a doctor or a test ordered by a doctor. Do you see the pattern?
Mm-hmm.
The doctor, like Dr. Fauci, to many people, they think is God. And he or she knows best. And when we got people like Fauci sitting out there on national television saying, I am science, it doesn't help the situation, right?
He actually said that. I know.
He absolutely said it.
He's
And
a narcissist. That's part of the problem.
no question
Everything
about
is
it.
everybody else's fault, never his. And you know what the really odd thing about this is? Those of us who are old enough to remember the AIDS epidemic 30 years ago,
You know,
he did the same thing. He took all potential therapies off the table. Men
AZT, right? He pushed AZT.
AZT is the only thing that you can have, and it killed the men. But keep in mind that there was a book out there, Born to Live, I think it was called, and it was written by two guys. One of them, I can't think of Michael's last name right now, but they were promoting bodybuilding stuff, anabolic steroids, growth hormone. That's where the movie Texas Buyers Club came from with Matthew McConaughey, because they were bringing it in from Mexico and they were distributing it to guys who had AIDS, and these guys were staying alive.
Yeah,
They were getting muscular, they were getting healthy, they were eating, they weren't dying. But Fauci did everything in his power to force the government to shut those clinics down.
yeah,
And take AZT. So those of us who've been around know that Fauci has done this before. And the question really needs to be is, how the fuck is he still there?
yeah. Well, he's an untouchable. I call him the untouchables. But look, when you get to this place in life where you abdicate responsibility for your health care, it's nuts because most people don't realize how much power they have over their own health, right? So, and if you don't believe that, let me ask you this question. Um, who knows best or better if something's wrong with you, right? Is that the doctor who spends maybe 10 minutes with you every 3 months? Or is that you who's been living in your body for 30, 40, 50 or more years, right? Whether these people realize it or not, they have insights into things that no doctor anywhere could possibly have. Not in all areas, but obviously, but in many, many more than they give themselves credit for. So, look, I don't want this to come across as I'm anti-doctor. Uh, I'm not necessarily calling out doctors. I'm calling out these people who willingly stop thinking, stop asking questions, and stop taking responsibility for things like I'm 50 pounds overweight and I'm always sick. The doctor isn't going to see you for 10 minutes, wave a magic wand, and presto, you're going to be the picture of health. The pills that he's going to send you away with, right, are usually at best a band-aid on the symptoms for whatever underlying health condition is that you have. And they're nothing but they go on to be nothing more than an annuity payment for the doctor, the pharmacist that fills it, and big pharma that makes the stuff. So look, the message should be this: that's no way to move through the American sick care system, because after all that attention, all those pills, all these diagnostic tests, plenty of people are still sick. still sick
Well,
after all
most of them are still sick.
that.
They go to the doctor every week, every month, but they're never better.
Right. And remember, a lot of people get rich while you're still sick because you need more tests, you need more doctors, you need more specialists, you need more medicine, you need more operations, you need, or at least you are told so. And at the end of the day, you're sitting there penniless because you had to pay for all this stuff and you're still sick. Instead, I want you to ask yourself this question when it comes to you and the doctor. Are two heads better than one? Right? Is it likely that you, the guy or gal who's living with XYZ condition, knows something that the doctor doesn't? And here's the big one. Here's the big one. Molly.
Whoa. Yeah, I had to kill the mic.
Here's the big one. Who has more motivation to get better, you or the doctor?
Yeah, he doesn't feel sick like you do.
No, he doesn't have to worry about it after you leave there. He's not the one that's in pain or the one that's facing an uncertain future. You are. So you have the most motivation to be, and this is the big thing, to be your biggest advocate. And here's what most Americans forget too, and never ever forget this. The doctor works for you, not the other way around. You are paying the doctor for a service. And so if you're not happy with the service that you're getting, you do what you do. If you were to go to a restaurant, you're not happy with the food or the service there, you go somewhere else until you find a doctor, and there are lots of good ones, that complements you, where you can work together, right, to make an informed healthcare decision instead of getting that information off of CNN or God knows where else. It's time for Americans, I think, to come to the following realizations, because the sooner they do, the sooner that they will be able to reclaim their health. Number one, you are responsible for how you look, feel, and perform. Nobody else, you. Not the doctor, not big pharma, not the government, you. Responsibility means work, right? Meaning you may have to do a little reading. You may have to, exercise some trial and error.
You may have to learn a new word or two.
Right.
You may have to go to a dictionary and go, what is autophagy? Oh, okay.
Exactly. Or think critically about some things, right? Working with your doctor is far and away better than working for your doctor. As I say, a lot of people do. Treat the doctor well as long as he's treating you well, just like you would like to be treated, right, if the shoe was on the other foot. But here's the thing. You need, more than ever today, you need to be your best advocate, right? More than anything else I just mentioned, that's the most important point. And why? Because I saw it for myself, unfortunately, last time my wife was in the hospital. Doctors, and she had 5 of them, are simply too busy, don't have the time, don't have the resources, mostly it's the time, to properly service their patients. She couldn't even get a diagnosis. I figured it out in an hour. Not because I have some incredible skill or knowledge that the doctor didn't, but because I took the time to ask her questions and listen to her, formulate a theory, and find the studies that back that up. And wonder of wonders, that's what it was. She was discharged within an hour after that. So here's the bottom line. It's time for people to take back control over their most precious asset, your health. And that doesn't come from doctors, doesn't come from vaccines, doesn't come from pills. Health comes from within. And always remember, it'll take a little work, but the buck stops with you. Nobody is motivated like you are to figure out whatever's wrong with you, or at least preferably keep you healthy and prevent disease and sickness. It's not easy being your own advocate today. It isn't. Doctors don't want to hear, hey, doc, I found these studies online.
Yeah, they take their heads. They don't want to
Right.
read it. They don't have the time. They don't have the bandwidth. So R. Vasquez, 818, who is watching on YouTube, has a question. We can answer it very quickly here. Good morning, gentlemen. When should one supplement with C60? Can I take it while fasting, or is it best taken with food? Yes, you can take it while fasting, no doubt about it. However, I think you'll absorb more of it if you take it with a fatty meal to stimulate the process of absorbing. Because remember, it's in olive oil, and it's kind of like some people take fish oil and they burp it up for hours because it's in their stomach. It's not being absorbed. So I always take fish oil with a fatty meal to stimulate bile production and stimulate the process of digesting fat.
Yep.
So I would suggest you can take it fasting for sure. But I would absolutely try to take it with food. And I take it first thing in the morning before going to the gym, and I'm fasted. And I can tell the days I missed it. I really can.
Yeah, it's been a while since I looked at the research, but it would make sense that that it would be absorbed a little bit better with food, and in particular fat. There's a track record there. The formulations in olive oil have always had a better reputation.
And don't forget, the rodents that they gave it to them in their chow.
Yeah, right, exactly. So
right.
what does that tell you?
So they were eating it when they were eating their food. All right, that's it for today. Again, today is the last show for this week because I'll be gone for the next 3 days, but we'll come back with some home run shows next Monday, the 31st. Please share the show. You never know whose life you're going to change. I got a beautiful message from somebody.
Yeah, that was cool. So you got to put it up next week.
It's too long to put up. Natalie's going to create a social media shareable something or other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, apparently the show saves lives, and I almost feel dishonest saying that. You know what I mean? Because I'm just a guy who does a show. That's all I do. But apparently the show saves lives, and there's some really beautiful things that the show has done. So share the show. Always share the show. And I said yesterday. Thank you, Thomas. I'll be safe, I'm sure. I said yesterday that if you share the show, you'll go to heaven because you may help somebody. Let's say you save somebody's life and you'll go to heaven.
That's right.
And somebody, I'm trying to think who it was that put on my wall. I'm sharing the show because Carl said I'll go to heaven.
Pretty soon you're going to have a cult following.
It was, why can't I think of his name? I haven't talked to him in so long. He's somebody you know from the show too. Sean. No, not Sean Commercial. No, it wasn't Sean. Somebody else. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't believe I can't remember his name. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done for the day. Yeah. All right, look, we'll see you next week. Don't forget, check out CoachRobRegish.com whenever you get a chance. We'll see you Monday. Thanks for being here today. And remember, share the show.